Forgot about the mute button for a second there. So one thing that all of us are really passionate about here is education. And one of the great things is that there are a lot of people that know a hell of a lot about sustainability and the environment. And with social media and the internet, we can learn from them. So we put our heads together and put together some of our favorite accounts, books, and TV shows that you can access. So Holly, you were going to start with some Instagram accounts that people can follow.
Yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but I spend a lot of time on Instagram, probably more than I should. But the thing that I like about Instagram is there's lots of inspiring people you can follow. So we've got 5 accounts here. There's hundreds and hundreds more, but these are some really good starting points if you're not sure where to begin. So the first one is called 1 Million Women. And 1 Million Women is a global movement of women mobilising to take action on climate change. And it was started by a woman named Natalie Isaacs in 2009 to educate and empower women about how to combat climate change. And don't be fooled by the title. It is called 1 Million Women, but men, you're allowed to follow them. And they regularly post tips and information on how we can make our everyday lives more planet friendly. And they're really, really cool. They have really good graphics and stuff. So it's one of my favorite accounts to follow. The second one is Plastic Free July. So Plastic Free July is not just an Instagram page, it's a movement. And it's a key initiative of the Plastic Free Foundation that allows us to work towards our vision of seeing a world free of plastic waste. So it started in 2011 and it's an award-winning campaign which is the result of years of hard work. It was started by a woman called Rebecca Prince-Ruiz and a small team in local government in Western Australia. And it's now one of the most influential environmental campaigns in the world. Millions of people across the globe take part every year, and many commit to reducing their plastic pollution far beyond the month of July. So that's another great one with lots of tips specifically about reducing plastic. All right, the third one is called Eco Warrior Princess. And this one is another one, don't be fooled by the title necessarily, but it was founded in 2010 by a woman called Jennifer Ninny, a writer, activist, and certified organic farm owner. Eco Warrior Princess covers the topics that matter: environmental issues, conservation, sustainable fashion, conscious business, social justice, politics, feminism, eco-beauty, wellness, green technology in an analytical, intelligent and honest way. So their motto is media that matters, and this is really seen through their Instagram account where they regularly post stuff. And again, it's not just for women or princesses, because if it was just for princesses, there would only be a few certain individuals around the globe that would follow them, but they're really great. They're for everyone. So I encourage you to follow them. All right, the fourth one is called SEED, and SEED is Australia's first Indigenous youth climate network. So they're building a movement of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people for climate justice, and they're the Indigenous arm of the Australian Youth Climate Coalition. Their vision is for a just and sustainable future with strong cultures and communities powered by renewable energy. Climate change is one of the greatest threats facing humanity, but they also know that it's an opportunity to create a more just and sustainable world. And I like to follow SEED because I like to hear the voices of young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians, and to hear how, you know, what I might be doing might be affecting those communities that I didn't realise. So that's a really good one to follow to get perspective from if you're not Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. And then the last one is called Rocket Science, and that's because the founder of that page, Anita Van Dyke, is a literal rocket scientist who is now studying medicine. But she wrote a book called A Zero Waste Life, and her mission is to make sustainability accessible for everyone. So her newsfeed is full of sustainability tips, recipes, and sustainable fashion. And she's really, like, I have like tagged her and stuff on Instagram before, and she replies, and she's really nice, which inspires me even more because she's not like, you know, some snotty Instagram person that like is better than you. Like she's actually caring and loves what she does. So all of those are great to follow. We'll put up some links to them. But yeah, on to you, Scott.
So next up, we have some TV shows and movies that are good to watch for learning about sustainability. And if you're, we may have some interstate viewers. So if you're by any chance locked down at this stage, there's some good binge watching that you could get involved in. First up is Fight for Planet A, which is something that you can see on ABC iView, and there's lots of great sustainability and environmental stuff on ABC and that you can stream on iView. So Fight for Planet A is a 3-part documentary that teaches about climate change and some of the big contributing industries where our personal decisions as consumers, as people going to the shops and picking something off the shelf that has had such a impact on climate change that maybe we don't think of, deciding what to pick off that shelf is something that can make a real impact, and they go through that. Another one is Our Planet, which brings in some David Attenborough. And if you ever want to have a bit of a nature vibe or immerse yourself in some nature, even if you're inside, it may as well be to the voice of David Attenborough. And the visuals in this series are just incredible. So would definitely recommend. There are some fun facts for this one. David Attenborough has 32 honorary degrees, which is more than anyone else in the world. And he has at least 11 plants and animals named after him. So he is the pro on nature and the environment. War on Waste, another ABC iView offering. There's about 7 hours of content on how to minimize your use of plastic and other types of waste at that real micro level where every individual can get involved. And this is just another great one for having that environmental impact on your day-to-day decisions. It covers plastic waste, coffee cups, fast fashion, food waste, bottles and straws, electronics, all this stuff that you can learn about and start to think more about your decisions as an individual. And The True Cost is a movie rather than a TV series. And it investigates the fashion industry, dealing not just with environmental issues, but with consumerism and globalization and poverty and oppression and those sorts of things. This one doesn't give you as many tips, but is a real eye-opener about where the things that we are buying are coming from and what are some of the things we should be thinking out as people who care about others in our community and in our global community. Holly, if I can pass over to you for some books we can read.
Yes, awesome. So first one, Laudato Si. So you might have heard Alice mention that one earlier. If you haven't heard of it, it's amazing. So it's an encyclical by Pope Francis on the care of our common home. And you can actually access it for free online. So if you just Google Laudato Si and go to the link on the Vatican website, you can read it for yourself whenever you want. But this year was actually the 5th anniversary of the release of Laudato Si, and it continues to be a really big source of inspiration for Catholics and other people of faith on how faith and the environment intersect. It's pretty long, but it's definitely worth reading if you're like all of us and want to care for God's creation. All right, the second book is called Dark Emu by Bruce Pascoe. And this book explores the evidence of the complex societies of Indigenous Australians before colonialism. And we put this one on the list because understanding the practices that Indigenous Australians use, like they used to use before colonialism, and that would be great to put into practice now, like cultural burning, that could help to combat a lot of the effects of climate change that we're seeing now, like out of control bushfires. So that was a really good one. And I first found out about this book on the recommendation of Caritas. So Caritas recommends that on their website as well. And then the last one is the book we mentioned before by Anita Van Dyke called A Zero Waste Life. So, and it's a zero waste life in 30 days. And I personally love this one. I did not do it in 30 days. I picked one of the things a month and I went through it with my mum, and it really helped us learn like how we could make small changes in our lives. Like now we have a little kitchen compost that we keep in our kitchen, and that's helped us take all of the food waste that we were putting in the regular bin, and now we put that in that bin and we put it in the green bin instead. And that has like really changed a lot of, there's just that small thing has changed a lot of how we do. So it's full of stuff like that. All right, next one, Scott. Skip 2.
So where you can visit, I know a lot of people have been itching to get out and about after COVID-19. So we threw this one in to give you some tips about where you can go and get back in touch with nature. I'm a massive fan of the Botanic Gardens. So in the city, just off North Terrace or at Mount Lofty or at Watunga, all are fabulous places for a walk and a bit of relaxation if you've feel like you've been spending too much time at home or at the desk and you've been cooped up for a while. Ecolateral, they have stores at Brighton, Blackwood and McGill, and is a place you can go if you want to stock up on some sustainability essentials. Anita Van Dyke's method is really good for using things that you already have, but when you want something new or need to buy something for someone as a gift, this is a really great recommendation. The Adelaide Sustainability Centre, this is an exciting one. It's on Franklin Street in the city, and they hold workshops and information sessions for people wanting to learn more about how to be sustainable. They also have a repair cafe, which is really cool, where you can bring things in that need repairing a few times a month, and volunteers will help you find the right person to mend your item. They've got heaps of resources available to point you in the right direction to becoming more educated about the wonderful environment. And they're also doing workshops currently. They've kind of launched back up after COVID-19, so that's exciting. Libraries SA, your local council library is a really great place to start getting some resources about your environment. Not only can you borrow the books that we've suggested and ask them to get a copy for you if they don't have it, this reduces the amount of book sport and saves paper resources and those sorts of things. It's really an environmentally friendly way to educate yourself. They also hold a ton of workshops and events aimed at young people in the local environment, so it's a really great place to be aware of. And we thought we'd also put in a little plug for South Australia, because with everything that's going on this year, the emphasis on exploring our own state has been huge. And there are heaps of websites that can guide you to where you might like to go for a walk, a hike, a bike ride, or cool things that are happening in your neighborhood that you can learn about. Our advice is to take a walk around your local neighborhood and learn what can be right at your doorstep. And a lot of us have been pleasantly surprised doing this recently and finding some cool little places. So definitely give it a Google. I know the Tourism SA websites and places like that have really cool things for you guys to look at.
That's a picture of my local beach, by the way, and that's only a 20-minute drive from Glenelg. So explore South Australia, everyone. It's beautiful. All right, so the last one really is our own top tips. So I put out a bit of a call. I could only fit 3 on this screen. I know we've got hundreds of more top tips, but from Ria, her top tip was to use paper consciously, because did you know that rotting paper emits methane gas, which is 25 times more toxic than carbon dioxide? Because I did not know that. So thank you for that one, Ria. Nicola says, find your local farmers market or bulk food store. They often have the best produce and keep the food miles down. And I found that really important myself during this time. I go to my local farmers market, and it's been really good to support my local community throughout this really tough time. So I'm really appreciated that I can go to those things. And then Charlie said, consume minimally by buying secondhand, using and mending what you have, and simply being mindful of what you buy. And this is a great way to practice gratitude for what you already have. So yeah, those are some resources. As I said, we're going to put those up on the Qoya website for you to come back to whenever you want, and feel free to put in the comments what your top tips are if you have any. And yeah, hopefully this is something that we can keep adding to and keep looking at into the future.